I mean, think about
All right, so it's Todd Atkins. And I'm here with Daniel Dizvicki, yeah, and
Jubicki. But yeah,
Andrew
I know
Benjamin.
every foreigner is butchering the name. I think if you if I would write it in katakana, you should correctly say it. But whatever. Andrew said Polish hammer just to not slaughter my name. But okay, yeah, everything's fine. Jubicki.
And Andrew Benjamin and J. Christian Gary. So Andrew Benjamin, We Are Rising podcast, and Christian Gary from Fights Focus, right?
Focus fights.
Focus Fights. That's right. Okay. So we're here
But
with
yeah,
the
we're
Japan
here
MMA beat.
basically. I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, even though it's kind of my thing, but we're basically here to just talk about a whole bunch of things going on in the Japanese MMA landscape. I'm particularly here because I didn't get a chance to talk about Rising 41 last night on the We Are Rising podcast, but still, though, we just hope that y'all are all enjoying yourselves. Happy Easter or Passover or Ramadan for those who celebrate it, or just happy Sunday to you. But yeah, Todd, we're not gonna waste your time too much longer. Why don't you just go over what we got on the show?
Yeah. So
Even though
this
I already just ran half of it down.
Japan MMA beat episode 3, and I'm gonna let Daniel run down the episodes or run down the topics today.
Oh yeah, okay. Chris, Gary just said it. We will start by Rising 41 that took place at the in May. Sorry, in April on April 1st. It took place in Osaka. We all know that all Rising shows in Osaka are kind of specific. But we have to admit, at least I have to admit, that I've enjoyed the show, and this is the most entertaining and probably the best Rising show in Osaka, despite the card that mm, lots of people was complaining of. But as I said before, it was really, really entertaining. What would you like to say? Maybe you have remembered something exceptionally from this card. Well, for me, the one thing that I could probably remember, like right off the bat, was definitely the main event. I mean, I mean, Andrew got the opportunity to talk about Koji's retirement yesterday on the We Are Rising podcast, so I think he's gonna probably save his thoughts for the end. But still, though, the one thing that I distinctly remember was that when it came down to the Koji versus Ryusei Ashizawa fight, both fighters had their own distinctive entrances. Both fighters had their own little rap songs to come out to. I mean, both fighters really bought the noise, and then it came time for the fight, and Ashizawa just dominated. But other than that, the fight card had 8 finishes on the card out of what, like 12 fights that took place, 10 fights that took place. I mean, the fight 12, card 12. just, Yeah. I mean, there's no wonder why the fight card ended, and I mean, why the fight card lasted like 5.5 hours, signs, intermissions, and all that. But still, though, Daniel, considering the fact that we're probably the only two that haven't really talked about Rising 41 outside the main event, what was your favorite moment of the night? My favorite moment, definitely, I was hyped about Hagiwara's win because when he managed to sprawl and then to soccer kick Kailagon, I've just stood up from my chair and started to shout in my hotel room. And it was really exciting moment. I think that lots of work lots of jiu-jitsu work, wrestling work has been done
by Hagiwara for this during this time when he was absent, and I think we all were sure that Agun
I mean, I can
out
totally
wrestle him. Yeah.
understand that, especially. Uh, Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. We all were sure
I
that
mean, for me,
Agwon will out wrestle him,
okay.
uh, and it was something different.
Mm-hmm. It was
Uh,
definitely different.
yeah, and it was fight of the night because it was exciting for almost all the time. Uh, all 15 minutes, almost all whole 15 minutes of fight, and it was I think it was milestone, some kind of milestone for Hagiwara, who always been losing with with a fighters, with an opponents, with any wrestling and jiu-jitsu. He only was beating the guys that couldn't take him down, but we all know that he doesn't didn't used to have very good takedown defense. So yeah, this is very important win for Hagiwara, definitely.
Hmm. Well, for me, I think that if I were to basically describe Rising 41, it would be off of four fights in particular. Number one would obviously be Makoto Shinryu Takahashi pretty much destroying Daichi Takata and saying that he has what it takes to defeat both Kyoji Horiguchi and Demetrius. Well, not Kyoji Horiguchi and
John
Demetrius
Dodson,
Mighty Johnson,
Horiguchi and
but
Dodson.
yeah, Kyoji Horiguchi and John Dotson, which I think that would be a. I think that a fight between Takahashi and Dotson would be a definite banger. But I
Oh
think
yeah,
when
yeah,
it comes to him talking about Kyoji Horiguchi, he's barking up the wrong tree on that one. He would get smoked in an instant. But I do think that Shinryu Takahashi, would definitely have a phenomenal fight against John Dodson. The
yeah,
second fight I
definitely.
was. Mm-hmm.
I would like to say that everyone was convinced that it will be last Shinryu's fight in Rising, most probably, and then he will jump ship into the UFC. But from the other hand, after the fight, he challenged both Dotson and Horiguchi. So this is some kind of light in the tunnel that it won't be his last fight in Japan for a long time, and maybe he will stay there for a longer time that we could expect. And maybe, I hope so, there will be a flyweight Grand Prix and he will take part in that rumored flyweight Grand Prix, because as we could see, flyweight is in Japan is very strong. They have a very good talent base, and if it would happen, I would looking forward it, no doubt.
I see. Now,
Okay, okay, go on.
come to think of it, when the Meme Mamedov versus Yusaku Nakamura fight happened, did you think that Mamedov, who was middling up the road, had a 5-6 record at the time coming into this fight, did you think that he was actually going to win this fight?
I have a problem with both with Nakamura and Mamedov. More even with Nakamura, who derailed the hype train of Takaki Soya that we all love. We all love Takaki Soya because of his violent style. We also know that he had some serious health problems, but he won with his health problems, and then uh, he um, he came back. He won another fight by KO or TKO, and then he was
Mm-hmm.
a slightly favorite in that bout with Nakamura, and Nakamura won this fight. Kind of, he was kind of confident in during this fight, and then we had Mamedov, who had kind of bad start in Rising. He lost by TKO from what I remember. I don't remember if I'm correct. I don't know if I'm correct, but then he knocked out in a 25 or 30 seconds Nakamura, who is a veteran. But from the other hand, it was not Nakamura's first loss by KO, so it makes things even more interesting right now in the flyweight division of Rising. Definitely, no doubt.
I mean, in a way, when it comes down to Mamedov beating up Yusaku Nakamura, as I mentioned, dude came in middle of the road, 5-6 record. That was definitely, to me, excuse me, don't judge a book by its cover type of fight, because it's like you never know when these guys come in with middle of the road records. You never know what their you never know what their skill set is supposed to be, especially considering the fact that, you know, he's supposed to come in with a lot of pressure on his shoulders, especially given the fact that he, Tofik Musayev, and Vugar Karamov, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit, they all come in representing Azerbaijan and basically taking over the fight world. Wouldn't you agree, Andrew?
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I mean, again, that it's I don't know. Did Mamedov? I think the big question is, did Mamedov beat Nakamura because he was better or because Nakamura is shot? I think yeah. And we talked about it on the recap show. I think while this was the best Osaka show of all time, the booking was a little bit weird. I think they should have booked Kitakata and Nakamura, which they tried to do last year, I think it was, or the year before, but that fight fell through, and they should have booked Makoto and Mamedov. So now you kind of have, I think, kind of like with the lower tier of flyweights is now a little bit stalled now because it's just, yeah, I mean, you presumably Soya, I don't know when he's going to come back. We don't know. Nakamura, listen, may not come back at all until the next Osaka show. Who knows about Mamedov? So it's the lower tier flyweight division. I think a portion of flyweight is a little bit it's a little bit questionable.
Understood. But I'll tell you what's not questionable. When it comes to Vugar Karamov beating up Yoshinori Horie, I mean, does this mean that he'll automatically get enough? No, scratch that. Considering the fact that they just announced Chihiro Suzuki versus Kleber Koike Ernst for Rising 43 in Sapporo on June 24th, do you think that Vugar Karamov has done enough to basically consider himself as the number 2 contender?
I think so. I think that this is very clear in my opinion, because most probably he will take a title shot. I'm not sure in 100% because in May you have Mikuru with Ushiku, and but in my opinion, right now, the Vugar is a fresher name because he haven't fought for a title yet. We know that both Ushiku and Mikuru was fighting for in the title fights. So right now, it will be something refreshing for the featherweight division to give Karamov the chance to fight for the title. From the other hand, we have in June Kleber and Chihiro. So there's right now we have April. So April, May. This is the middle of June, from what I remember. The Rising in Sapporo. So I think the next featherweight title fight could be in something like in September or stuff like this. Maybe a bit later. But right now, the Karamov would be the main, the best choice after the Chihiro Suzuki right now in featherweight division.
I see. Andrew, what say you?
No, absolutely. I mean, Jiro's been undefeated in Ryzen except for his debut fights. And not to mention he's taken fights on short notice, like the Imanari fights, which he won, and then took the fight a few months later for New Year's against Nakahara. And then a month later has a kickboxing fight for Daniel, what's the name of that promotion again?
It was the main event of knockout show in March.
Yes, knockout. Yes, and he finished the guy. So yeah, I listen. You can't fault the guy for output. He's fighting and he's winning. I don't. Yeah, I know that he did post on Twitter. It seemed like frustration that he seemed like he had been passed over. I don't know if anybody saw that. But I know he's not the biggest name. I know he kind of is a little bit of a nerd dork when he gets on the microphone. Is a little bit too emotional and all that stuff. I get it. But considering where this guy was, his upward trajectory, I think he's absolutely deserving it. And then, yeah, barring that nothing else happens, barring not some sort of injury or whatever, Karamov is definitely should be next in line. No non-title bull crap. We don't need that. I do think it's an odd. I'll just quickly say I think it's an odd main event to have in your first show in Sapporo. I figured they would rather have done that in Shizuoka potentially or Hamamatsu area. I'm not so sure who else they're gonna book for that Hokkaido show because the biggest name already that you have from Hokkaido is already having a fight. I think at 42, Sora Yamamoto.
Yeah.
So yeah. That tells me to believe that they did not initially have this Hokkaido show in mind. I think they were going to try to do that Hawaii show. Whatever reason that fell through. So that's why I have to believe is that that initially that this Hokkaido show was not planned at all. It's a really odd main event if you think about it. It's really odd. In my personal opinion.
Yes, but usually, I think that in the past there was some main events in Ryzen not very related with a place of the event. I can't tell you right now the cases, the examples, but I think something like this took place before. Maybe they are relying on a all Japanese star power of Kleber and Chihiro, and this is the only explanation. But from the other hand, I was thinking about who can they book for the Hokkaido show, and of course, Sora Yamamoto is an obvious choice, and I think it isn't impossible to have the fight on the 43, because despite he's fighting on 42, and it all depends how he will feel about the fight with Kanehara. We know that Kanehara is a very, very tough opponent. Kanehara beat some tough guys in Ryzen like Majima in a very good fashion. So I'm not very convinced that for Sora it will be easy fight. Definitely not. I'm not even convinced if he will be slightly favored in that clash with Kanehara. I will make some kind of off topic from the Ryzen 41. I saw at Topology who can they bring for that Hokkaido show from the locals, and the main Hokkaido star right now is in TFF.
Yamato Nishikawa. Wait a minute, who are you talking about again?
Yamato Nishikawa, the main Hokkaido star right now. the
Oh,
the biggest star from I think the biggest prospect at least from Hokkaido,
right, right.
and then we can saw some guys like totally locals from POD. We have Toshiki Watanabe. He is a lightweight champion of pound for pound fighting championship. I know that for majority it says nothing, but this is a main local promotion from Hokkaido, from Sapporo, and he's a lightweight. And then we have Tomoya Tanaka. And he is a bantamweight. Both fighters are grapplers, and they have a large percentage of
Mm.
wins by grapplers, and they are not like all-rounders that they can only do guillotine or rear naked choke. They are submitting their opponents by a very various spectrum of technique. So I think these guys are the main, picks for me, just to take place on that cards.
Sorry,
Maybe we
Daniel.
will
Just gonna
see.
have to tell you, you got to take off Nishikawa off that list because he's with PFL. He's gonna be fighting PFL actually this month.
Yes, I said it.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
you said that. I apologize. I missed that. My apologies.
yeah. I said that they won't take Nishikawa because he is signed with PFL. We can say hello right now to J Wolf, our good mate, the biggest PFL fan. But
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. You know what? Let's just get off of that real quick because I basically want to say my fourth and final match that I was really
Yeah, okay.
interested
Go on.
in for Ryzen 41 was the lone welterweight fight on the card, and that was Kita Keitaro Nakamura slugging Strasser Kichi Kunimoto. And that leads me to the question now, since we're talking about fighters from other promotions wanting to join Ryzen, does that fight between those two welterweights, Nakamura and Kichi Kunimoto, do y'all want to eventually see more welterweights from outside of Japan come into the promotion and basically make this welterweight division not seem like a unicorn?
Oh, the welterweight division is a kind of mess because we all know that one of the main names in that division is Daichi Abe, who recently lost his deep welterweight champion against Shingo Suzuki, who has very who has very mixed mixed statistics, mixed record. He's 13-13. He is of course, he is a veteran, but I'm not sure if overall level of Japanese welterweights
So
can
basically,
bring.
what you're saying is the Ryzen welterweight division is pretty much DOA.
Yeah, actually yes, because we don't have we don't have top fighters in the division. Usually there are veterans like Strasser and Keitaro. We have Abe, who is a veteran as well because he fought in one championship. For example, he had lots of lots of fights. And Shingo Suzuki is a veteran as well. So only old fighters. We had Yusaku Kinoshita, but Kinoshita right now is in the UFC. So I don't think they have much plan for the division for the future. But despite this fact, they are still booking welterweights. So we don't know what will be now. I doubt that they will even make a welterweight championship. But from time to time we can possibly see some welterweight clash. But I'm not sure about bringing foreigners for that all veterans of Japanese MMA.
The other issue you have with welterweight is a middleweight here. So if you're at all good, if you all, if at all, have a great record and great finishes, you're getting signed to UFC or potentially Bellator. So it's basically a
Or
foregone
you're going to
conclusion.
fight in the or you're going to fight in the
Oh
PFL
yes,
and
the
make
PFL
way
now.
to the LFA.
So there's nothing. Yeah, there's really no incentive for any promotion to really seriously consider it because they're not going to be there for a long time. But the other divisions are packed. So listen, you might lose 3 or 4 guys, you might lose the top guys, and then you just move on up. Some folks. Yeah, you can't do that when you only have 2 guys who are great and Kinoshita, UFC, Nishikawa, PFL, and yeah, and not to mention you also mentioned Abe also did fight in UFC already. That's the other thing. So that's you kind of don't have they shouldn't pay attention to it. It's a one-off thing. Have it for occasional. I wouldn't say freak show, but
Oh my God. No,
what do you
no freak
call it?
show.
Whatever you call it. Just
Don't put.
have it for. Hold on, Chris. Hold on a second. I was just talking about the freak show, but just have it for like whatever. If you're gonna be in Osaka, just have it. Have the local Osaka welterweight take on, I don't know, Shashakichi or something like that. Just something dumb.
Yes,
Oh my God.
you
Don't
know
put the damn welterweight division in a freak show type of format. I mean, come to think of it, you still have somebody like Damian Beatdown Brown who is moving up to 170. He still wants to fight. I wouldn't mind seeing Keita Nakamura fight Damian Beatdown Brown on a big card, whether it's for the continuation of the welterweight division or not.
Yeah, I think from the other hand, yeah, you just reminded me that beatdown right now is a welterweight, so maybe this is some kind of solution to the situation. But I would like to say that I'm also predicting that maybe this year Ryzen may sign Shinsho Anzai, who is fighting on regional promotions right now, from what I remember, and Takashi Sato, but I'm not sure about his contractual status with the UFC.
Takashi Sato still with the UFC. I highly doubt they're gonna let him go that easily.
So, but
Well, if he's
as
still,
well.
are you sure he's still in the UFC? If he's still in UFC, well, he would still be in the USADA website pool, right? If his name is not there, then he's not in UFC.
Is he out of the rankings now? Is he
No,
out of the testing pool?
No, testing pool. If they're not in the testing pool, then they're not in UFC. That's or they're at least that's my understanding. Rankings don't mean anything because they could just remove you for inactivity, but you have to be in the whatever USADA pool and also fighting UFC. So I don't know. So somebody who has more time than me who cares about that, check to see if his name is still in there. If it's not, then he is not with UFC anymore.
But
Right.
still, both Sato and Anzai are the same type of the fighters like Strasser and Keitaro. They are veterans, so still the same model of fighter.
Anzai hasn't fought since the Bellator Japan show, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that was pre-pandemic. So I don't even know if he's still fighting.
3 years ago. So who's to say that Ansai isn't retired already?
I'm not sure if he hasn't scheduled some fight in some regional promotion, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember, to be honest. But yes, his last fight was against MVP, and I even saw this fight. No, I'm not sure about his current situation. Maybe
Well, he
I'm
does still list himself as a Bellator welterweight, so maybe he is still a fighter, and he still posts videos stuff of him training. So maybe maybe he's injured or something. I have no idea. It's very hard to tell. That's the problem with these Japanese fighters. It's very hard to tell if like they actually retired or they just like not fighting for whatever reason.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if Keitaro will even be back, but he was back, so we never know.
But will he be back? That's a bigger question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I honestly don't know that post fight speech where he just said thank you. You could almost say that was kind of like that was kind of like a send off in a weird roundabout way.
Of
Yeah.
course. Now, continuing on with the rest of the card. Well, actually, when it comes down to the rest of the fights that happened with Rising 41, what else piqued y'all's interest?
Hmm. You know, I think that kickboxing fights delivered definitely. I don't want to just break down each fight, but Shun Onishi's KO on Motoki was something wow, great, very strong punch, and Motoki fell to the canvas with a high impact. And moreover, these guys are 61 kilos, so hard knockouts. For the Western public, it's something
Mhm.
like kind of um, amazing to see that kind of little guys can knock out very hard each other. But for someone who is very near J kick, Japanese kickboxing, it isn't a very rare thing, and this is what I wanted to say, to just underline that card, because I can tell you, I would like to say something about other fight. uh, Sho Patrick Usami got submitted by Kyung Pyo Kim. I wouldn't say I wouldn't expect that it will be that one-sided fight. Never.
Mhm. I mean, I
It,
basically got what you meant, Daniel. I was watching that fight thinking that Show Patrick Usami was gonna come in with the W, but I did not I totally underestimated Red Horse Kyung Pyo Kim.
it's so funny that I remember the first time we were talking. Well, I think it was the second JMMA beat, and I had kind of said that, oh, I think that Korean MMA is probably like dead or stagnant right now. I might have to eat
Yeah,
my
it sure
words.
made you feel like a liar, huh?
Because we're seeing we the success of Red Horse, a bunch of who is it got Road to UFC as well. I forgot. I think his name is Kim. I think, right, Daniel? We got time to Road to UFC.
You mean that next road to UFC?
Yeah, wasn't there another Korean sign for Road to UFC?
I think so. I've even posted some screenshots
Yeah,
from Chris Presnell's podcast.
but I just want to just quickly say, listen, maybe what, maybe let's see who knows. Let's see where Red Horse goes. From here, it does interrupt the. I think I'm 99.9% sure that Ryzen wanted Usami to win, but listen, it's it's a learning experience for him.
But
Uh,
this is the thing that I'm saying it very often. Usually, right now it's a different times, because back in the days, for example, in Pride, when they was bringing any Korean, it was like guy to lose, just to make someone's record better. And right now, actually, almost every Korean that Ryzen brings have a quality. Maybe not that Styrkov's opponent, because he was, Asian heavyweights. You know what I mean.
yeah.
It's not on a very high level, but Jae Moon, very good fighter, despite his record. Kyung Pyo Kim, we all seen what he is capable of. Yeah, other fighters like Sochul Kim, we could see that how he can fight with a top bantamweight, which Hiromasa Ogikubo is, definitely, with no doubt. So yeah, it's much better times for the career right now. Oh, I would like to say Sohi Ham and Park. So female fighters as well are on a very high level from Korea. So no doubt. And right now, I've started to say about this fight. It was a lightweight fight, and in upcoming Road to UFC tournament, there are already. It's not completed. There are 6 fighters right now, kinda confirmed, and 3 of them are South Koreans. So it says a lot about this. But there is no Kyung Pyo Kim for the second time. No, not him right now. So we will see. It will be very interesting who can bring a Ryzen to their shows from the South Korea. I hope that we will see Kyung Pyo Kim because, for example, for the only because of this upset, and I would like to see him against any other opponent. Maybe Usami is kind of a bit too one-dimensional fighter right now, and he has a time to develop, and he has the material to think and consider what he done wrong in this fight, and think about his weaknesses. So priceless experience, I would like to say, for Shopatrik Usami. I don't know. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go on.
Okay, well, y'all trying to pass it off to me?
Yeah.
Oh,
you would like to add something because we can end up this topic. I don't want to say a single word about Koichi, Shizuka, and Kintaro because it was the only forgettable
let me
fight.
just go ahead and say for the record, Kintaro just did not know who he was fucking with. Koichi Ishizuka was just basically there on an audition, trying to go on and join the Rising roster. Yeah, he's a deep champion, but Koichi dominated Kintaro in that fight.
But,
I mean, wouldn't you agree, Andrew?
I think they both look bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you shitting me?
No one would like to risk anything in this fight.
Yeah, it was by both playing it safe, they both lost. Really, in my opinion.
Really?
What was it? Do you remember? I have a question. Do you remember anything about this fight? Do you remember anything?
Yeah. This fight looked like an amateur kickboxing fight where judges had to count the efficient punches and kicks, and then they are adding and those that guy who landed more and techniques wins, and it was that kind of fight.
I'm pretty sure the judge who thought that Kintaro won was the same guy who thought that Cozy won in the main event. I can't believe that that's not connected in some way. Yeah, no, but both looked horrible. I know we were talking Discord, Daniel, the Polish Hammer, that we thought you said that he's both exciting and boring. I think he's both boring and boring. I don't know what's wrong with him. I know, remember he had that back injury that he had to pull out the Kurbo fight. I don't know if that's still an issue, but he's definitely not the same fighter that he was in like those early Pancrase days. Not even when he debuted in Ryzen. Maybe he just doesn't have any more. I don't know what it is, but he's definitely maybe covering up his tattoos took away his chi or something. I don't know, but I have no idea. This is not the same Kintaro that was still punching guys after the bell had been rung that I became familiar with. So I don't know. Yeah. And we all know, he's basically Hagiwara, but with is it possible to say that there's even somebody with shittier takedown defense than Hagiwara? It might be Kintaro. It really honestly might be Kintaro. And then Ishizuka not exactly showing why he's deep bantamweight champion and not realizing, oh yeah, I can just go for a takedown in the third round. I don't even, yeah, I don't even think, did he throw any strikes in the first round? I can't even recall if he even threw any strikes in the first round. I'm remembering barely if he did, but yeah, they'll bring Kintaro back for an Osaka show. I don't know which. I don't bring back Ishizuka. As Chris said, it's an audition. You failed the audition, kid. You know, go back to deep and win some, then we'll try again.
Yes, but the first fight, if someone has a bad first fight, it doesn't mean that he will be something like this in his second potential performance. I remember, for example, Shintaro Ishiwatari's first fight in Bantamweight Grand Prix. It was against I don't remember some Russian fighter. I'm not sure about it, but it was the opening round from what I remember, and it was not exciting at all. But we all know the later run of Ishiwatari in that Grand Prix. I may be wrong about the first opponent, but I remember that it wasn't too exciting.
I'll also just quickly say that I'll get that pass because that was a Grand Prix. So you can't excise somebody for winning and then for putting on a boring fights. That would be like interesting to like that the promoter would do that, but like I'm giving that a pass just because of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I've just checked, and it was Ahmad Musakayev that he won by the decision, and it was in October, and we know that, and then there was a double header New Year's Eve, so yeah, so it was something like this. By the way, Musakayev has. It's one of his two losses, but it's kind of off topic. Right now he's fighting in ACA, and I'm not sure about. Okay,
Wow. A Russian
he
fighter in
doesn't.
ACA? Really? I
Yes.
never would have thought.
Yeah. So yeah, we 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 have a we took into the past the toughest fight to watch during this event. I mean Ishizuka and Kintaro. Right now, I don't know what you want to talk about first, about the Tenshin's debut or the upcoming Rising 2 events.
That was pretty interesting, Tension's debut. I mean, even though he didn't get a knockout, he showed a lot of those qualities that he has as far as like his eyes and it seems like every punch he throws, almost every punch he throws lands. He's really unique in that regard. I mean, even in boxing, he looks pretty special as far as like his ability. He looks like he could go a long way,
Yeah, there were some comments. Sorry, Daniel. Sorry.
Yeah, I would like to ask Todd what he thinks about Tenshin's footwork in this fight, because I saw the opinion that it was not great at all.
Well, I mean, it seemed like he was fighting a lot, he was fighting more on the inside, maybe. He was fighting at distance too, but it was kind of just, this first match at Top Rank. It's kind of like, how can I describe it? Like, you're trying to perform, but maybe not sure what he wants to be yet, as far as a boxer goes. Because, he spent so much time kickboxing. He can just, his identity as a kickboxer is already there. He's had so much experience doing it. And he has a lot of experience boxing too, obviously, in training and, throughout his life. But what your identity is going to be as a boxer as you have more experience. But I was still really impressed by it. Like I said, it's just his his ability to see openings. He has good hand-eye coordination, you know, like special hand-eye coordination, you know. And I'd like to see I didn't see what the stat numbers were, but I'd like to see like his percentage, because it seems like when he throws a punch, it lands, you know, whether it's body, whether, you know, to the head, cross, hook, whatever, it lands. So he's kind of unique in that regard, I think.
What I would like to say about this fight, there was no single moment when he was in trouble. All the fight was controlled by him, even when Yonaha tried to, you know, take an advantage and try to push him. And right now, he beat opponent with much more experience, because before the fight, Yonaha had 16 fights in professional boxing, and for Tenshin was very first fight. He was so right now, I think if he will beat this kind of opponents, it was not supposed definitely to be easy work for the Tenshin. Not that easy. In my opinion, it was easy. And if he will keep going and he will beat this kind of opponents, we will see him for a title bout very soon, more soon than we could even think. We can hear you.
What do you think,
pardon me?
Andrew? To me, I think it
Oh,
maybe, I don't know how you guys think, but I think it's it's a big story for Tenshin doing boxing, and ultimately those are going to be the ones that are fairly large, big
yeah.
shows and big crowds as far as Japan goes.
I think I think, you know, just in general, we give a lot of shit to people who go into who go into one combat sport, who are great at one combat sport, they go into another. And it felt, you know what? It felt like relieving to actually see somebody who was actually good. And I think to judge him on such a, you know, oh, his footwork is a little bit off. You know what? Maybe he was, you know, a little bit tired in the second. I think it's a little bit. I think it's a little bit absurd, considering that he was a top kickboxer and made, because I'll admit, I was one of the people who's like, oh no, he's gonna fail at it because it's really different. He looked like not a day was missed at boxing in boxing class at Team Tepen. That's where he's still doing it. Listen, the thing you had to worry about most is like, listen, the one thing you got to worry about a kickboxer is, I don't know, they kick out of instinct. I was really worried about that when I watched. I was like, oh guys, you're gonna accidentally kick this guy just out of instinct, but that didn't happen. No, listen, I think he looked good. He still has the, you know, I've always said this, that Tenchin has speed, power, precision, and he's able to combine all three of them at once. When they show the replays, you see how quick he gets those jabs in, how quick he gets those hooks in. It's something that so many opponents, probably the only one, Kyoji Horiguchi, in their fight, was the only one that was actually able to kind of figure out. You know, listen, whoever he fights next, you know, hopefully it's a much more high level opponent. I don't know who. I don't know that much about boxing. But listen, I think the end goal is that he eventually faces one of the Inoues. That's my big bold prediction, that they want to eventually, the top rank, whoever wants to get Inoue, Takuma. He could probably do both Inoues, actually. Probably he could definitely go down to 120 or 118 or whatever it is at Naoya. And that would be a big match. That really would be a big match. You know, you could put that at Yoyogi Stadium or whatever. It'll sell out. I think that's the end goal.
Right now, I'm not. I don't know about, you know, the rules about, you know, the matchmaking of Japanese Boxing Commission, but I would risk that one, maybe two fights, and he will have a title shot for some
don't Pereira him.
Japanese.
I don't want him to go to Pereira road. I don't want him to win 2 fights and then get to top. I don't want that. I really, really don't want that to happen. It does not end well usually. So I would preferably like 4 or 5 more fights. I think I'm hoping.
But 4 fights to potential fight with Inoue, or 4 or 5 fights to Japanese regional belt.
Oh, regional belt. That's different. That's different. Yeah. Naoya. That's Naoya. The one that has first he's got to get through what's his name, Fulton. He's got to get through Fulton, and I'm pretty sure there's somebody else. That I forget the guy's name. That Naoya should fight. But I think in the end, I think the goal. All right, if I'm a promoter, I'm thinking try to hopefully have him go face Takuma. He beats Takuma, then you have a built a story to do Naoya somewhere down the line. Maybe New Year's Eve or New Year's week or something like that. And then if he's already beating Takuma, you already have a big hook with that fight there. But yeah, I have no idea who should fight next. The other big bold prediction I was thinking, and I hope it doesn't happen, is that maybe the match 2 would be Takaru versus Tenshin in a rematch, but in boxing rules. That was the other big thing I was thinking. Like, would they actually do that? And I'm thinking, Takaru's doing this Muay Thai thing, this Muay Thai tournament. He's clearly still into kickboxing. He's still fighting, and if a beam is involved, oh boy, I think that could sell out a Tokyo Dome again. Especially if Tenshin is, has already a belt or has beaten Takuma in a way.
To be honest, I'm not convinced if Takeru's style is very suitable to boxing, to classical boxing. He is a pushing fighter. He is aggressive fighter, and it plays out very well on the kickboxing rule set, on short fights, 3 times 3 minutes, and I'm not convinced if Takeru would be successful in a classical boxing. What I wanted to say more about the Tenshin, he looked very good, but from the other hand, we know that he was preparing for this fight for a very long time, because since in 2020, I think he just publicly said that he will go to boxing, he will switch to boxing, and then his fighting style changed a bit, and we could see that it isn't the same Tenshin, and he is training. He's focusing during his training more on the typical boxing things. He was not kicking that frequently. He just changed his style because of having in his in his head that he will switch the sports soon. So it was very visible, in my opinion, and the effect was visible last weekend. That's what I wanted to say about.
I'm interested is because I know you guys are talking about what he could do in Japan, but I'm interested to see if that's what they're going to do with him, or are they going to try to bring him to the U.S. and do some top ranked fights with him on U.S. cards. You guys don't think so? You think it's all built from the Japan?
To be honest,
that's my personal opinion. No, my short answer is yes. Short answer is yes. I think he's mainly Japan guy.
I would like to see it. But from the other hand, I'm not a boxing head. I don't know how it all works like, and if there will be some possibility to show Tenshin once again for the American audience. Once again, because we all know that he let's say he fought with Floyd Mayweather, but right now, majority of the fight public says, "Oh, this is the guy who lost with Mayweather or had a staged fight with Mayweather." So maybe it will be a nice idea to just show his skills with proper opponent in his weight class, and after the multiple years preparation.
I thought it was interesting that I thought that Mayweather was made since he had the match with him, and I thought Mayweather was initially going to sign him to Mayweather Promotions. That was my big bold prediction. Was that, oh, if he's going to go into, that's why he's going into boxing, because Mayweather clearly wants to sign him, and he's going to bring and all that stuff. But apparently, for a reason, that didn't happen. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's what I thought. That's why I thought the whole trajectory was going to go. He's going to get signed to Mayweather Promotions. He's going to move to the United States, start training here full time, then have his first match in Vegas. No, the complete opposite has happened. Much to my surprise.
Todd, you would like to add something?
No, I mean, yeah, what he's saying, I thought that too, but now I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to see them build him to a fight with Inoue because that's their other star. Why not? I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're wanting to have a big event again and, make a bunch of money in Japan. But if you could bring both these guys up, maybe there's more to do it that way.
I don't know that much about boxing. Has Inoue ever fought in the United States, or is he only fought in Japan?
I'll take a look at his record right quick and see.
Because I just know his fights that he's had in Japan. But I see what you're saying about the whole, putting the two big stars together. But listen, that's what sells in boxing now. Fury versus Usyk. Well, if that ever does happen, we had it 3 times. Wilder versus Fury, and each one I think sold more than or got more business than the previous one. At one point, Anthony Joshua versus Fury could have been the biggest heavyweight boxing match of all time. So there is a precedent to putting the two biggest people in a clash in boxing. And I think if you do that in Japan, especially if you do it in Japan, if you do United States, I don't think it does well. But you do Inoue and versus Tenshin eventually in Japan, you got something that could potentially surpass the match in terms of business.
Yeah. And he did have 2 fights in 2020 in Vegas, both knockouts.
Okay.
You're right. Gotcha. The majority of it, he had one somewhere else like Carson, California, and one in Glasgow, Scotland, but all the others, Japan.
I'll tell you this: if Inoue and Tenshin ever had a match, I would be happy to fly to Japan just to see that match. I would have gone to see Takeru versus Tenshin, but Japan was not open to us gaijin, so that would be my makeup fight if that fight ever does happen. So hopefully it happens. Hopefully it happens.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I see what you guys are saying. It would be massive, of course, but to have one massive fight, I mean, I guess they could go back to letting them, kind of rise on their own after whoever loses or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe I just feel like they could do more by not fighting each other. I don't know.
Well, I think so, but listen, money talks, yen talks.
Yeah.
So it's gonna eventually happen. I mean, it just happens. It's just how the ways are. Eventually what's his name? We're having Garcia and Tank finally fighting after all these years. That's going to be the biggest fight both these two have ever had. And
yeah, boxing's really knocking some. They're having some good fights lately.
Yeah, and I don't think Japan should ignore that. I don't think they're going to ignore that. They definitely. I think that's the reason why he's with Top Rank now. Is that I think that's what eventually the road is going to lead to. Is potentially fighting both Inoues down the line.
What do you think, Daniel?
I said everything about the possibilities and the tension abilities and where he can reach soon. I think for me it's the topic has ended.
Okay, so are y'all still on the show? Or are y'all still live?
Yes, we are still live.
Okay, so are y'all talking about the Tenshin Nasukawa debut yet in boxing?
Yes, still.
Okay, real quick, I can basically say that it was fun seeing Jimmy Lennon Jr. come all the way out to Japan just for that entire big show atmosphere of, that Japanese card, especially considering the fact that it was on Amazon Prime in Japan, it was on ESPN Plus in the States. But the fact that there were so many eyes and ears wondering about how Tenshin Nasukawa was going to do in boxing, especially considering the fact that, last time this many American eyes were caring about Tenshin in boxing, he got TKO'd by Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition, but still, I can only hope, and I said this on the private chat on Instagram, if Tenshin takes this shit serious, he can possibly be a world champion in like a year and a half to 2 years. Maybe not fighting guys to the level of Anthony Olasquaga, who just got wrecked by Kenshiro Taraji, but I can only hope that, if Tenshin takes this seriously, it won't be long before he becomes a world champion, even though he's fighting at 123 pounds.
I think the overall feeling of us discussing it, Andrew and Daniel felt that they were going to kind of build this to him fighting one or both of the Inues at some point.
I will say it once again. I think he will have a chance to fight for a title, but so far some Japanese national title, and then there will be maybe a bigger fights for him. We know how many belts boxing has, and there's a unlimited uh, unlimited, possibilities to build the career right now, even by the achieving more and more belts. For example, there will be a Japanese championship, and then will be some kind of Asian belt, and then maybe for a world championship, or maybe some intercontinental or WC bronze, silver, platinum bullshit.
Uh,
So yeah, you know how it works. So there
yeah,
are
I
lots of
unfortunately know how it
possibilities.
works because boxing has so many damn belts to pass around that you basically have four world champions all trying to become the champion.
Definitely, no doubt.
Mm. But still, though, if Tenshin can take this shit seriously, I can definitely see him being a champion within the next year and a half to 2 years if he's promoted right, if Top Rank knows how to treat, if both Top Rank and Take Him Promotions know how to treat him right, so to speak.
Yeah, it's all about politics. But Top Rank and Taken seems to be very strong, both in Japan. I'm talking about Taken and worldwide. So I hope, as you said, I hope that they will treat him very well and will promote him, and we will see big fights of Tenshin Nasukawa in the nearest years.
It's like Andrew said, I think he's just incredibly special, even just as boxing. He combines so many elements well, and yeah, I mean, he rarely misses a punch when he throws it. It's just he's incredibly accurate. He's got great eyes. He's
By the
unique.
time the first punch hit, another one's already coming. And I think it was a Joe Ferraro who told us this. Is that by the time you've already called one movie's done, he's already done about 2 or 3 more that you didn't even prepare for. So he's a real special athlete. Yeah, you said it, Dodge. Like special in kickboxing, and seems like he's gonna be just the same in boxing.
Yeah, but come to think of it, the one thing that I didn't like about that entire show that happened on Friday, well, actually Friday into yesterday, was the fact that Bruce Beck was doing commentary. And I know, Andrew, you're from New York, so you have to deal with Bruce Beck on a day-to-day basis. I mean, did you even see the damn card?
I have no idea who Bruce Peck is. Who is that?
You know, Bruce Beck, he was in the early UFCs. I always liked him. I thought he was
Mhm.
good. You know, he did
Yeah,
like the
but the
first few
way
UFC
he
I was
events.
listening to it on mute. I mostly watch my fights on mute because I find most commentary to be insufferable or awful. So I was just listening to on mute the entire time.
You know what? I understand you, but the way that Bruce Beck, Beck, by the way, was doing commentary, it was just totally insufferable. That if it wasn't for Jimmy Lennon Jr. coming into the card, I mean, coming in like for the latter 3 or 4 bouts of the card, basically pronouncing the names correctly. I mean, shit, I think he would have probably fucked up the entire night just by the way he was pronouncing fighters' names.
I can't tell anything because I had Spanish commentators basically from dozen. I don't know if it was Mexican or Spanish version, whatever. But
I
there
mean,
were
come to think of it, if you were watching it on like, I mean, I know that you were probably trying to watch it through nefarious means, so to speak, but still, though, it's basically great that you were watching it in Spanish because even though you couldn't understand what they were saying, you understood the passion they were given, you know?
yeah. This was hearable, but from the other hand, Spanish is very loudly sounded language like a Japanese. So everything is like a shout, for example, in this language.
I mean, just think of it as watching like a football game, or as we say in the States, a soccer match. You know, they love to bring the type of passion that a lot of fight fans don't really understand.
Oh yeah, it's definitely something like this in the for in the Spanish speaking people's talk. Yeah, definitely.
Right. But still, though, when it comes down to tension, again, 1.5 to 2 years is the goal for a world title opportunity. And if he doesn't reach that, I think that his boxing career can be summed up as a failure. I mean, wouldn't y'all agree?
Oh, I think he's going to reach some title. I mean, I don't think that's even a doubt. You know,
I mean, I
with
hope
as many
so.
belts as there are in boxing, he's going to get one. I don't think there's any question of that.
Yeah, but I'm talking world title status, not this regional level bullshit. Because when he has fights that are on ESPN Plus and shown on Amazon Prime in Japan, I just hope he at least reaches some type of world title status, not
Well, to
just
do
fucking
that, he's going to have to
around.
beat Inoue, and that's no easy task. You know.
Yeah, but then again, he weighs 123 pounds. I mean, like, who are some of the top champions in that weight class right now? I think there are a few who are from Mexico and one from the Philippines or something. Like, I don't really follow the outright flyweight class in boxing all that well, but I do know that, you know, there are some fighters from Latin America who he would have to deal with.
I'm up to see those fights. Like I was telling them, I'd love to see him fight it. You know, a bunch of people other than Japanese opponents. You know, I'd like to see that
Mhm.
on bring him over to the U.S., have him fight some guys. I'd be all into it. But they just think that their feeling is that they're just going to kind of like Inoue. He's had about 4 fights outside Japan, but the rest are all Japan. So, I mean, it makes sense what they're saying.
I mean, come to think of it, as long as he doesn't get treated like how Shuichiro Yoshino got treated by Shakur Stevenson last night.
Yeah. Well, Shakur Stevens, that's another. He's special too, man.
Yeah, of course. But come to think of it, I mean, do we have any more topics to discuss? I mean, I would basically want to talk about, Rise and Landmark 5 coming up. I mean, Andrew and I just got through interviewing Rocky Martinez for that show.
You know what? I thought that we can discuss it, but in another episode, maybe in a landmark during the landmark fight week, because right now it's almost 1.5 hour. So maybe we can finish the things tonight, and we will be back in about 2 weeks, maybe 1.5 of week, and then we will have maybe we will have Zach, and we will discuss also the upcoming deep card, which is kind of interesting, and Andrew will be near the flight to Japan.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm also aiming for a trip to Japan this year, but I don't know if it will be August or September or even New Year's Eve. But right now I haven't decided. Too much, too much unsure things this year. So I don't know what it will be. But in 2 weeks, maybe we will have some more announcements about the final shape of the 2 upcoming cards, and maybe we will know more about the show in Hokkaido. And that's all. And we can only wait for this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, but Andrew, you're supposed to be going on to Japan for Ryzen 42, hopefully, right?
Maybe. I don't
Are
know.
you covering
Maybe.
it, or are you just gonna go?
It's a maybe to either or if I'm feeling up for it. So I'm still deciding. I even booked my hotel till today. Till actually, yeah. Well, no, I booked my hotel today. Actually, I'm a procrastinator when it comes to booking and doing my trip stuff. So maybe I'll decide. I'll reach out to Shingo and see what they can do.
Do they
Man, come to
credential
think
you
of
to
it,
cover it?
Yeah, I got credentialed for Ryzen 11 not 3, I'm sorry, 4 years ago. So that was great. The show took forever. But it was cool. It was cool being the only white guy in a sea of Japanese reporters, and I'm the one who's so I just thought it was funny, just like I'm the only one who's asking my questions in English, and then they're having the Japanese translator translate the Japanese. And yeah, it was a funny video of actually me asking Topnoy a question after his forgot who he fought, but yeah, there was a whole language miscommunication thing that was just really funny. Only happened in Ryzen.
Come to think of it, you were only one of 2 English speakers that were talking to fighters. The other was Bruno Masami, obviously.
Oh, I forgot about him. Yeah. I'll say English native speakers. I was the only English native speaker because he's not English native at all.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but still,
oh yeah, I just wanted to add that I'm just waiting for the specific dates for the August and September show, and then I will it will be able to plan anything. I have to go to to see as much as I can because there are also potential Rise dates, Pancras, Deep. I haven't been at the Deep show. Also maybe some smaller things, but I haven't thought about it. But yeah, But the main thing is just to be potentially at the Rising show in August or September.
I was
And I mean,
initially
come to think of it, Daniel, don't you have broadcast commitments to tend to?
I don't do comments Rising show yet. I don't know
I
about
mean, I'm
the.
just saying, you don't do commentary for Ryzen, but you got commentary for other shows, right?
I always can take the replacements, but I can't plan anything not knowing any dates. I don't even know the most dates of my future broadcasts. I know only maybe the KOK schedule, but it's not 100%. It's not confirmed. So I know actually nothing in August and September. August would be better for me because I almost have no work during this month. But we will see. We will see. Glory hasn't released their summer dates, so I can't tell you anything about this. New Year's Eve is very convenient for me. From the other hand, because I'm sure if any Polish television won't take Rising New Year's Eve, I won't do any commentary during the period between the Christmas and the New Year's Eve and a couple days after New Year's Eve. So that's how it looks like.
I was gonna go to New Year's Eve. And yeah, I was like, I thought about it, like, you know what? I'm tired of traveling during the winter. I'm tired of traveling in the cold. I'm tired of bringing coats with me. I'm gonna go in May when Japan's warm, but not to a brutally hot. See, I was gonna I went to Japan a few years ago, second time in July and August, and I was dying. I was dying. Oh, Todd, you were there. Japan, listen, Japan in August is brutal. It is. I was sweating the minute I would go outside. I also had an umbrella for
Oh
me, and I
my
had
God.
sunglasses, and I
I
was
think
just
I
dying.
remember, Andrew, because you had to do a remote version of the We Are Rising podcast and had me try to co-pilot.
Basically, yeah. So yeah. May was the one that won out this time, and luckily they're gonna have the two deep shows. I might go to Rise, but if that Deep Jewel show is the same day as Rise, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Deep Jewels wins out. No Pancras though, because Pancras is not running in May for whatever reason. They decided to run all their shows this month, and one particularly good show. And I don't even know what Shuto's doing. So yeah, that's what May is looking like for Japan when it comes to combat sports.
But here's the one more thing. Y'all do know that the Rising show that was supposed to be that is in Sapporo was supposed to happen in Honolulu, Hawaii, I think. I mean, do y'all think that I mean, first Andrew, I'm gonna ask you, do you think that Rising will potentially have a show not just in Hawaii, but in some part of these United States down the line?
Well, we briefly did talk about it before. I think that they were supposed to have it, but then for whatever reason it didn't work out, and so that's why this Hokkaido show got booked. I do think it just sticks out like a sore thumb. They've never gone to Hokkaido before. The main event is it's a weird main event. I wouldn't even say booking Kleber in a main event at this point. I don't think he's a proven draw. Certainly not in Hokkaido. You want the people. That's the other thing is that just and Todd, you can help me out here. Hokkaido Sapporo is far north. It is a borderline. It's borderline to sticks. And if you want people to, if you want people to that are only from the Hokkaido area to come see your show, you're gonna have to load up with people that they want to see. I don't know. Is Kleber and Chihiro the names to get people from the Hokkaido region to come to your show? I don't know. I really don't think so. It's just weird.
I expect a bunch of local heroes that I've
Yes.
mentioned before, and this will be probably discard. We
I
all
like how you
know,
call them local heroes. The local heroes are coming to save the show.
No,
yeah, like Samurai Mark Hunt in Nagoya.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, so I expect I expect this card to be something like this. As I said before, I've made some kind of scouting of support talents. We know that Yamato Nishikawa is out right now, so they will have to find some other names. Probably there will be some names outside of Hokkaido as well as like their main event. So we will see. I think we can finish this episode right now because we will.
okay.
I
Well,
hope we will see each
if that's
other.
the case, Daniel, you want to go ahead and give people a way how to contact you through social media?
Yes, definitely. At the finish of this episode, I would like to recommend my Twitter account, D. Jubitsky. It's like a first letter from my name and my complete surname. Easy. I think it's easy when you are trying to type it instead of to try to
Basically, let me go
say
ahead and spell it out. His Twitter handle, Daniel's Twitter handle, is at DDZU. No, damn it. DDZIUBICKI.
definitely.
DDZiki. That's it.
That's it.
Now, and obviously, that's the way how people can contact you if they want to talk about, you know, highlights that you would like to talk about in Polish, right?
Definitely, and definitely. If anyone has questions about Japanese MMA and even Polish MMA, because because I'm Polish, so I basically know a bit more and understand a bit more than the foreigners, and we know that KSW is always a hot topic between among the foreign fans.
Right, right. And Andrew, I think we already know what we talk about. We can, I mean, if the fans can follow us, where they can follow, well, actually, if the fans want to follow you, where can they do that?
They can follow me on at We Are Rising Pod. For all your We Are Rising podcast and JMA and J Kick Needs. And also please follow Rising FF fans on Discord for any combat sports or pro wrestling. But just to let you know beforehand, we do only talk about PFL. So it's
Oh,
a
boy.
it's a PFL Discord.
And Smelter, Better.
I
No, no, no,
tried to
no.
I try to
No,
steer away from that, like
all
the
Bellator
plague.
talk is bands. No, it's not. It's not. But Bellator
Oh dear
sucks.
God. But yeah, if they want to follow you, Andrew, personally, they can do that at Abenja1, at ABENJA1 on Twitter and Instagram. And you know what? When it comes down to, you meeting up with Shingo Kashiwagi, y'all need to hook me up with some interviews, man. I'm really trying to bust my ass trying to get some of these people to talk to me. I mean, shit, I need to try. I mean, I do need to get off my lazy ass and get some interviews myself, but y'all can hook me up as well. Still don't. Y'all can follow me on Twitter at ChrisGary92. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at ChristianGary1992. And y'all can follow Focus Fights at Focus Fights on Twitter. Or you know what? Check the Linktree URL and the handle of the Twitter account. Y'all will probably know where that is. Or y'all can check out the Focus Fights audio podcast, which is available wherever you get your podcast from. Or you know what? Just follow the Twitter at Focus Fights _AUD. Todd, take it home.
I know you guys are looking for some Hokkaido intel. I know Koji Takeuchi, who has a gym in Hokkaido, so I added him to our group. I met him in Shudo Gym, Yokohama, like in 2002. Ryan Bowe was coaching there. I trained there some, so maybe he can give you some Hokkaido intel on fighters. I know he has one. He says that is kind of getting there. I don't know how long he's had that gym up there.
Who was training in shooting gym Yokohama? I know Wiki Nishura Akio was training there.
Mamoru Yamaguchi was there.
Oh, yeah.
Leon
Mamoru
Takeshi.
Yamaguchi.
Lion Takeshi was there. I trained with him. Koji Takeuchi. Jitaro Nakao.
Oh.
Kenji Kawaguchi. I don't know if you've been around long enough to know him.
I remember him from probably from Vale to the Japan tournament from Jan Lomulder fight.
Yeah, he kicked my ass the first time I trained with him, real bad. But yeah, there's a lot of great fighters from Shooting Gym Yokohama. At that time, there were a ton of them. Ryan Bowe, he was one of them that was training there too, and so they had a lot of formidable fighters out of that gym.
Right. But obviously, Todd, since we're closing out the show, they can follow you on Twitter and Instagram at Todd Atkins Show, right?
Yeah, Todd Atkins MMA on Twitter, but most of my stuff I do on Instagram and here at YouTube, at Todd Atkins Show, and Instagram's at _Todd.
Also,
I'm sorry.
Also, I just realized they can follow this podcast for more information. Obviously, it's on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, right?
Yes.
Tell the public also how many formats do you have in the Todd Atkins Show?
How many? I'm sorry. What did you say?
How many formats? Because you have JMMA Beat, you have MMA Conspiracy Hour.
Right. I've been trying to do like some different shows, kind of like a TV channel, so I have Japan MMA Beat, I have MMA Conspiracy Hour, I have this show that I do with this guy Preston Vaughn from TikTok called like Preston's Paradox, which is some conspiracies, MMA conspiracies too, and I've been doing some different stuff. Japan MMA Beat, I have a show, Ireland MMA show that I do with a guy in Ireland, so. Yeah, I'm trying to do like a TV show, for like Netflix or something.
Come to think of it, let's just say you got a big following on TikTok, you got a big following on Instagram, and you're gonna get a big following in the podcast world and on YouTube.
Yeah, hopefully
at least
so.
That's what we're all hoping for. But other than that, Todd, it's been fun talking with you. You go ahead and close this out. This is your show.
Well, it's everyone's show, but anyone who supports the Japan MMA Beat, people who love Japan MMA as much as we do. I mean, I was huge into it back in the day. I'm probably not as big into it now because it's just hard to follow when you're not living there. We're living in Hawaii where we had a lot of influence from Japan MMA too. But I mean, it's something we'd all like to see come back to the kind of prominence that it once was, But anyone who supports Japan MMA, check out the show, and I appreciate you guys watching it. Take care.